Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for joining me again on the Marketing Resolution YouTube channel. If you haven't already, please subscribe, ding the notification bell so you get updates from us on a regular basis, and feel free to share these videos amongst your colleagues or your friends. We really appreciate everything that our subscribers do. Today with me, we've got Dawn Kuhlman from Liberty, Missouri. Hello, how are you, Dawn?
I'm very good. It's beautiful here today, which is nice. That helps.
Excellent, excellent. Well, it's a really pretty place that you live. That doesn't hurt.
Yeah, thank you.
So, well, Dawn, I know that you've got a lot of things on your plate, but one of your passions is providing mediation to not just your local area, but a much broader area. But I know that you are a really highly sought after mediator, and I was wondering, how in the world did you get into this line of work? Can you tell us a little bit about, what you were doing and who you are and what you do for us, these days?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. I met a boy, right? So I was, we're talking, this was 2003. I was probably 24 or something. I was in graduate school at the time working on my master's in clinical psychology. At the University of Dayton, which I'll do a plug for that. And then I went to Florida to visit my mom, met a boy who lived in Liberty, Missouri, which is just a suburb outside of Kansas City. And so the goal was for me to finish my master's degree and come out here, and then we would get married. And that's what we did. So I moved out here in 2002, and I was looking for a job, and I didn't have any connections in my community whatsoever. And so at this point, I had a master's degree in psychology, but with my degree, there's no licensure in the state of Missouri for my particular degree. So I was trying to navigate, what can I do with this master's degree? And to be a mediator in the state of Missouri, or at least a court-approved mediator, you have to have at least a master's in like a social science or a law degree. And so I met those parameters, and I applied to be a mediator for the court, the local court. And I was approved. I got the job. And so I started teaching parent education programs. I was a mediator, did small claims, landlord tenant, domestic stuff, and then really started training our community over the next 9 years on a lot of different topics. And I was part of, when the personality disorders and mediation topics sort of came on the scene. I even got an autographed book from Bill Eddy back in like 2006 or 2007. And, it's been fun to watch this whole mediation sector grow and develop and just come into this hybrid of psychology and law. And I think it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And so I've really been playing on that niche as well, in terms of, I think there is a hunger and a desire for the law, the legal realm, to have some understanding of some psychological issues that people are experiencing.
Right.
Because, you've got the financial component of mediation, you've got the legal component of mediation, but then you also have this whole emotional, psychological component. And a lot of mediators don't know what to do with that, just to be honest. And so that's been a huge focus of my passion, is trying to figure out what this emotional component of the mediation is. So I worked as the court mediator for, like I said, 9 years. And then 2012, I left and started my own LLC and have been going ever since. And my colleagues tease me because I say I'm a hustler, and they're like, Dawn, that can be interpreted a few different ways. But I mean it in the sense of working 16 hours a day for like 6 years, 7 years, and trying to figure out what our community needs. I feel like that's kind of what you do when you're an entrepreneur, is you see the holes and you then try to fill them. And so back in 2012, I saw that our area did not offer any mediation training, like basic mediation training. You had to travel about an hour south, 40 minutes south, to get some mediation training. So that's what I did. I created the curriculum. I started offering it. And truth be told, at the time, I had one training where only 3 people registered, and I trained 3 people for 2 days to be mediators. But thankfully, my numbers have gone up since then, and I have quite the following now. they actually call themselves Dawn Kuhlman groupies, which just makes me crack up. But there's a lot of people who like my trainings, they like my style, and so and then obviously when I do my trainings, I do a lot of storytelling. I do a lot of examples of things that have happened in mediation while respecting confidentiality. And so people really just sort of infer on their own that, wow, she must be a good mediator if she's doing all these trainings and she's talking about these experiences and how she handled these really tough cases. And I've even, on occasion, I've had some clients come in and talk about their experience. And I think that's been very helpful too. You know, just these testimonials of how beneficial the process is to a group of wannabe or soon-to-be mediators is really helpful.
Right. So now, most of your clients, are they represented by an advocate, or are they coming to you unrepresented? Is it mostly community work?
Yeah. So it's about 50-50 in terms of representation over the past years. Now, I will say 2019, this year, has been a shift in my practice for me. So the last 7 years, up until this year, I was doing a lot of contract work for like our county and then for a nonprofit, which those pay a lot less money per hour. And those people typically do not have representation. So they're taking advantage of the free mediation, which then the county or the state pays you at a obviously reduced rate. This year, due to just time, I'm going to be honest, I have stopped taking those cases so much. And so now when you're looking at really obviously the private pay clients, you're looking at people who can afford representation. And so it goes both ways in terms of, but I feel like as you continue to grow in your business, you have to continually sit down and look at these, what I call business plans or business ideas, and think about how do you want to best use your time. And I just sat down about a month ago and revamped my time in terms of how can I best meet the needs of the community, pay my bills, pay my assistant, let's be real about this, and have a life. I have 2 daughters that are 8 and 10, and I have a husband. And so forever trying to juggle all of these demands, it's a work in progress.
It is a real challenge. It isn't an easy thing to do. And I remember when I started in business, a couple decades ago, that I could work any 20 hours of the day I wanted, and there was a great liberty in that.
Yeah.
Because it was my business, but I still had to work 20 hours a day, every day a week, until things were up and going.
Yeah.
So there was that balancing act. You do have time to go to your daughter's softball game, but that means that you're, working on paperwork until 1 o'clock in the morning. So there's always a give and a take. Something somewhere has to pay the tab for the exchange. So that's just the way it goes. But so now you've got your mediation practice, you're happy with it. Now, if people wanted to contact you about your mediation services, I know you've got a website that they can go to and find some resources that they could connect with you. And I know that even though you're not doing the pro bono cases or the volunteer cases any longer, I'm sure that if someone were watching this and they really needed that kind of service, they could connect with you on your website, and you would very kindly provide them the resources to help them.
Yes.
But if you wouldn't mind sharing your website with the viewers, and I'll post it, of course, in the description below. That way the people in your area can connect with you and take advantage of your really professional services that you offer. What's your website, Dawn?
So my website is KuhlmanSolutions.com, and Kuhlman is Kuhlman, Solutions, SOLUTIONS.com. And I provide a few different services. I provide parent coaching, and then I provide mediation, and I provide what we're calling a specific style of mediation, which is transformative mediation, which we're doing an intake session. and kind of doing some coaching in the intake session and then doing the joint 2-hour session from there. We actually did a pilot project with that in my circuit, and it had very good results. And a local judge and I presented those results at the 2017 Family Law Conference. And other circuits in the state of Missouri have started adopting this style, which has just been super amazing.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I also want to pitch this other website that I've got and talk a little bit about trauma-informed mediation.
Okay.
So everything I just feel like I have to preface when I'm getting ready to go into a story about. But as around 2017, I was approached by a mediation group to speak at their fall conference on trauma-informed mediation. And so it was about 2 weeks, maybe about a month. Let's give myself a month before the conference. And I literally go on the search engine and I'm like, trauma-informed mediation, I need to learn about this if I'm going to speak about it at this conference. Good gravy. And so nothing pops up. Literally nothing pops up at the time. So I make it up. I literally make up what I think this concept is. And I dive into trauma and I talk about feeling safe in mediation. And I presented at the conference, didn't think much about it. A couple months later, I'm giving another training. And I just happened to be chatting to a group of obviously mediator professionals. And I start kicking around my idea of what I think is trauma-informed mediation. And my colleague, Sherry Jacobs, is in the audience. And she comes up to me after the training and she says, Dawn, I too was asked to present on trauma-informed mediation and I made it up. And she was like, do you mind showing me your PowerPoint? And so it was almost like teenagers. I'll show you mine and you show me yours. We swapped PowerPoints, and it's kind of a risky thing because it's intellectual property so we swap our PowerPoints and we about fall over because they were so similar. It's just crazy when two people who really have never met each other before have the same ideas on what we think this concept is. So Sherry says to me, hey, Dawn, I am also the TEDx coordinator for the TED Talks in our area. She was like, I can't do it because I am the organizer of this event, but I really think that this is a concept that we need to share with people. We need to share with the world. So that transpired into me giving a TED Talk in October of 2018. And then it finally went live in January, I think, late January of 2019, just a couple months ago. But during all that time, Sherry says, Dawn, I really feel like we should buy the domain name traumainformedmediation.com. So we did. And we just bought the domain name and put ourselves out there. And the funny thing is that, and now I've been coordinating with different courts around the United States in terms of what they think trauma-informed mediation looks like. And so I feel like it's still a developing concept, which is fun. And people are challenging me. They don't like the idea that I use words like emotion regulation and mediation. They say that sounds like therapy. I'm like, oh, whatever. I don't know how you're calming people down then, but that's me being snarky. And then I get this phone call literally last week from a mediation society in Alberta, Canada, and they said, Dawn, we found you because we just Googled trauma-informed mediation because they want that as that's what they want their conference to be focused on this year. And guess what? Mine's the only one that pops up because I own it. And I'm telling you, there's really not much else out there. So you have to find a niche and buy the domain name. I felt like we kind of worked backwards. And then we keep honing this framework in terms of what we think it is. It's been a fun journey. And so now they want me the deal is not fully signed, so I don't want to jinx myself, but it's in the works for me to fly up to Canada and be the keynote speaker on this amazing topic. I know, it's just been one amazing journey. And then like this week, part of why I'm refocusing and reshifting, I'm doing a lot of promotional things now. It's kind of interesting in terms of, I hate to say it, or it's kind of funny to say it, it makes me nervous, but I'm really starting to go global in terms of this Sunday, I'm doing a podcast interview. It's a radio interview on trauma-informed mediation based out of Ontario, Canada. Then I've got you today, obviously. And then, talking about going to Alberta, Canada this fall. And it's getting way beyond just my town of Liberty. And so I've got to figure out how to navigate all of these opportunities that are coming my way, which is super fun.
That's an excellent challenge to have. Excellent challenge to have. It is fun. It is really fun, and it's really fulfilling to know that the hard work you do has a positive impact on so many people. It's not just you sitting in your office, working and toiling away. You get to share, all of the goodness. You get to share the richness. You get to, have a positive force that makes a difference for people, and that's really fulfilling work. So it's not just the work is fun; it's the result is fun too.
Yeah, part of this whole framework of even just this trauma-informed mediation is it's really about giving people hope, and it's about saying your brain can be healed, and your brain has ways that it can cope with life's challenges. And I don't really know if there's been a whole lot of that message coming from mediation. So I'm excited to really think about what we're calling the neuroscience of mediation in terms of how the brain has been responding. How does the brain heal? How do we help people in this limited time? Not doing therapy, but just some basic brain work in terms of calming the brain so they can do the process. And it's exciting to have these conversations.
It is. I know that, it's not scientific, but I'm confident that 100% across the board, every mediator has, these great experiences when they've got people that enter the hearing rooms just at the brink of fisticuffs, and they walk out shaking hands, smiling, sometimes hugging, thank you, tears, and they move on. And then we know from follow-ups that those people write, that after the mediation, that was the first good night's sleep they'd had in a long time. They didn't have to chew antacids, after the mediation. They weren't, they were nicer to their spouses. They were nicer to their neighbors. They were better parents. They were better coworkers, better bosses, just better humans, because the stress that comes from the conflict that is normal in life just has this horrible trickle-down effect into so many aspects of everything we do and touch. So when they are finished with us in a mediation setting and that's resolved, they just have this excellent lightness about them.
Yeah. And just to even take it a step further, even when it's not resolved, I still get these emails that were like, Dawn, you were amazing. You still provided support. I still felt safe, even though we didn't reach an agreement. And then I know that I've done my job, in terms of just, I showed up, I facilitated the process, I helped people feel safe. They didn't reach an agreement. That's theirs, right? It's that whole acceptance of,
excuse me,
as long as I do my part, that's a job well done.
Yeah, as long as people get heard, that really is a big component of it. So, well, Dawn, I know that you're super busy running all of these things and traveling, and you're doing interviews everywhere and writing and all kinds of fun stuff. I don't want to keep you too much longer, but I really appreciate you spending a little bit of your morning with me. It's nice to see you face to face. Usually we have a little slightly dodgy telephone conversations, but face to face is nice. This is excellent that you've spent some time with me. So I really want to thank you for that.
Well, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for a fun morning.
Absolutely. You know where to find me anytime you want to talk about something. I'm always here. So, well, listen, I'm going to sign off, but again, for everybody who's watching, please, subscribe, like, share, find Dawn. She's on LinkedIn. She's on Facebook. She's got websites. She's got TED Talks. You Google Dawn Kuhlman and you'll have dozens and dozens of opportunities to look at the work that she does, the good professional work that she does. Anyway, thanks very much, Dawn. I'll talk to you again another time, okay?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.